So we probably all heard about Father PJ from Mullahoe in County Cavan. I just want to say to him, well done to you, so. You've done a great service to your faith and great service to this county. Because again, it was a sin. It's a sin, and I was a sister. I even said it to some county councillors. They know I'm very, very tick with it. I am very tick about it because it's a sin to see anybody go to a priest and say you cannot have mass. How dare you have mass? You'll be arrested for having mass. Like this is the point of that was the point we were at a few weeks ago. At least now the government had a small bit of cop on and said, let's open the churches. We can only have 50 people, but at least they have them open. At least they have a small bit of dignity to have them open. But they did try to threaten Father PJ too, and more or less imprison him or put him in prison or to fine him. And it's a sin. It's a sin, an absolute sin. And I admire his ability to speak out. He spoke out on radio and things like that. And I admire him. I absolutely admire. Many people be frightened if the guards came to the door and threatened to put them in prison or threatened to fine them. People, the majority of people would shut up probably. But fair play to Father PJ. He stuck to his guns, and that's what we need in the police. We need people who are able to stand up. Because it's a sin. If people wearing face masks, social distance in the church, what more does the public health professionals want? What more does the state want? Do they want them to sit on top of the church? Because what more do they want? Because again, if people are using common sense, for example, in fairness, this should be allowed. It should be allowed to open. There was no harm. There was no harm done in having the church open. There was no harm. Unless I say it was, it's the most, as he said himself, and I said it way beforehand. The church is the most sacred, it's safest place to be looking to your God and talking to God, and praying to God and praying to your angels. It's the most safest place it could be. There's nowhere else on this planet that's safer than the house of God. So I'm sure everybody would agree. I'm sure everybody. I even said it many times. And I have to say it was a sin. And I have to say I never thought I'd see the day that I see guards going into churches and basically threatening priests for having mass. I honestly never thought I'd see the day. I heard about it in my history books. Priests being, basically tortured and in the Soviet Union, China, and other countries. We've seen it. And it's unfortunate that because Ireland was the only country in Europe that they had all the churches closed. And it's a sin. I'm sure everybody agree. Many people said he should listen to the guidelines, but that's not the point. That's not the point. He's entitled, as he said, he's entitled. He has his freedom to worship his God along with bringing the people in that village or the people in that area. There's nothing that can stop him. Well, there's not really anything that can stop him, because the Constitution very, very formally says that you're entitled to your freedom of religion. And you're entitled to express your freedom of religion and to celebrate your freedom of religion. And I don't think there's really anything the state can do about it. No matter how hard they try, they can't do much about it because again, people are entitled to go to a church and pray. This not stopping. A priest is entitled to say mass. So yeah, for God bless Father PJ. I wish there was more priests like him. Because that was the one thing the government shouldn't have done. Because again, as he said himself, and I couldn't put it any better myself. They left God out of this. They didn't think about God. They talked about everything else under the sun, but they didn't think about God. They didn't think about the house of God. They didn't think about the people who worship God. They didn't think about that. They thought about everything else, but they didn't think of God. And that's something Father PJ said himself. So fair play to him. Hopefully, please God, they don't annoy him anymore. Please God, they won't. So yeah, take care everybody and bye.